I was thinking about my video that I put up yesterday, which was just simply me just kind of formally announcing that my sabbatical was going to be coming to an end here in a few weeks. But after I had mentioned that, and after I posted that video, I started thinking about how routine that sounded. Like how routine it sounded that I was just saying, yep, sabbatical's over, and I'm starting a new job. Because 4 months earlier, I was freaking out. Like when I had decided to go on the sabbatical, I was like freaking out. Like to me, this was like to go 4 months without an income and to focus on my writing projects. That was like one of the boldest decisions I think I've ever made. Just to be able to do something like that, and yet now that I'm looking at it and now that it's coming to an end, I'm just like, yep, start a new job now. That this whole thing was not a big deal. I mean, it was a great time, but there was no ever really any risk. There was never any doubt that I was ever gonna, end up failing at what I was doing. And I'm saying this because I think there are people, especially in the writing field, and I suppose any field really, but especially in the writing field, where there may come a time when you have to do the same thing, where you may have to change what you're doing for a career, scale back your hours, take time off to focus on your projects. And it's going to seem like a very like scary, a very nerve-wracking venture. But once you do it, you come out the other side and it's simple. Like you come out the other side basically and you realize, yeah, I'm alive. It's fine. It was never that big of a deal in the first place. And certainly I don't think I am the only person that's ever obviously done something like this. And the reason why I'm making this video is because of that. Like because I know there are going to be people basically that are going to be in the future going to be doing that. Heck, I'm already thinking of doing another one. I'm already this sabbatical was so great. I'm thinking of already doing a second one here at some point in maybe a few years. I don't know when. I don't know how. I'm not sure yet. But this was so like the amount I got done and the benefit of it and such little actual risk. Now that I see the other side of it, there's such little risk in betting on yourself that I am absolutely like astounded by how routine it all feels, which again is great because I am gonna say one more time that 4 months ago I was absolutely scared to even do this, and that's really what it is. It's a mind game. It's just a bunch of stuff you're building up in your head. I mean, the amount of times that that you previously in your life have dealt with something and had to make a bold change is probably quite a bit. It just never seems like that afterwards, right? When you were like 5 years old, there was a big bold change you had to make. Now, you as an adult looking at that think, yeah, it wasn't that big of a deal at all. But to you then, like in that moment, that was bold. And yet you came at the other side still fine. It's same thing when you were, 10, 15, 20, when you were 25, when you were 30, when you were 35, when you were 40. There's always like at the moment you're in, there's always that sort of bold change, but you end up coming out the other side regardless. Isn't to say obviously that these things always pay off. Certainly at mine, I could have failed. Like this whole sabbatical could have been a failure. I may not have found a job right away, etc. But you still end up coming out on the other side generally. I mean the odds of like a catastrophic failure I do think are relatively low. And so if you are someone that's considering that, someone that's in a position where you're thinking of maybe doing something kind of like what I did or just making a general bold change, understand that after you start doing it, you're going to come out the other side, look back on it and go, wasn't that big of a deal at all. Like there was never any inherent risk at all. At least that's my experience. That's been what I've seen, and I've made a lot of I've made a lot of crazy decisions in life, certainly. So for me, at least that's always worked out that way. It always seems to work out in some fashion after you sort of take that leap and make that decision. So if this video has any real point beyond just serving as an encouragement, it's simply that on the other side of that decision, it's never as bad as the anticipation leading up to the decision.